Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Well, we're going to try this again. I had put out a earlier video, and unfortunately, the sound was not working. You have to love good old OBS, because sometimes it just decides to not work. And in that case, it did. So again, we're covering another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network, day 173 of the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. And not, again, a lot of territorial changes to speak of. We have seen recent reports that indicate the Ukrainians did launch a HIMARS attack against the alleged headquarters of the Wagner organization located in Popasna. The Russian side are reporting a few casualties, whereas the Ukrainians are reporting up to 60 to 100 Russian KIA. So we really don't know just what occurred in that strike, but we will continue to keep our ear to the ground, and eventually we may know more, and then obviously the possibility we may not, because both sides are really keeping casualty figures close to the vest and not reporting in terms of what is going on. Now, in terms of territorial changes, not a lot to speak of, and that bodes the question is, what is the Russian strategy? Because right now it doesn't look like it is a strategy designed to seize control of terrain. And what this reminds me of, and this is really the only plausible explanation outside of the possibility that the Russian offensive has stalled. And we cannot eliminate that possibility, obviously. But the other alternative possibility is what I would define as the Russian Falkenhayn strategy. During World War I, General Falkenhayn instituted a strategy against the French that was, quote-unquote, to bleed the French white. And it was really designed to cause extensive casualties to the French military in that campaign during World War I. It was a war of attrition, and that strategy, again, was designed quite literally to kill as many French troops as possible, eventually through attrition, leading to the collapse of the French army. Now, did that work? Well, we know how World War I turned out. Now, is that to say that this strategy will not work in the ongoing conflict if that is the strategy what the Russians are attempting to do? And I've seen repeated comments, and I've heard this time and time again, that is indeed the Russian strategy. It is a strategy of attrition and designed to bleed the Ukrainian armed forces white. We are seeing the quite literally the economic collapse of Ukraine. The economy has contracted by almost 50% and is really being kept alive by infusions of cash from the United States and other European allies. Now, is it possible that in the not too distant future or the distant future, we could see the eventual collapse of the Ukrainian military just from simply running out of arms and ammunition, and then the continued casualties that the Ukrainian military is taking? Very, very possible as well. But ultimately, we won't know that outcome until obviously later on. But right now, that does seem to be the only plausible strategy that the Russians are continuing to operate under, is that war of attrition, that Falkenhayn strategy designed to bleed the Ukrainians white. Or we cannot rule out the simple fact that the Russian offensive has stalled. It's very difficult to ascertain actual casualty figures. What the Ukrainians are reporting in terms of Russian losses seem to be incredibly high. So we really have to kind of temper what we're hearing from the Ukrainian side, and at the same time, we're not hearing a lot on the Russian side about their casualties as well. And the same with the Ukrainians. I would assume that Ukrainian casualty figures are probably equal, if not in excess, to Russian current casualties outside of the early stages of the conflict. We did see in the early stages of the conflict, especially in those Russian operations north towards Chernihiv and down towards Kiev and Bucha, we did see the Russians take extensive casualties, especially from those anti-tank guided weapon systems, as the Russians attempted large-scale maneuver operations, almost a blitzkrieg designed to decapitate the Ukrainian military, and that was unsuccessful in the north. But now we've seen this transition to more or less, again, this strategy of attrition, and at the same time, much like World War I, new weapon systems are changing the course of the war. The concept of maneuver operations with tanks and armored infantry fighting vehicles really have been negated at this point by the use of very, very accurate anti-tank guided weapon systems. And then compounding this is the very, very precise use of long-range multiple launch rocket systems that can hit a aim point within meters of the target, and then you combine that with real-time satellite intelligence, and this war is unlike something we have really ever seen before, where both sides have the ability to hit deep into the enemy's rear. And this is the first really full-on conflict in what we see two very well-supplied, industrialized nations that have similar capabilities, and in some cases the Ukrainians have been provided capabilities that the Russians just don't have at this point in terms of advances in technology. Remember, after the Soviet collapse, we observed a 10-year gap in R&D and research and development for the Russian Federation, whereas many European powers, the United States, continued on with some of these advances in military technology that are now on display in this conflict. But again, right now, we're probably looking at one of two things going on. Either the Russian offensive has stalled, or this is an intent-based strategy designed to bleed the Ukrainians white, as General Falkenhayn proclaimed during World War I. But we're going to continue to watch what is happening on the ground, report, analyze the situation, and bring you more content for your consumption. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us. More to come.